Back with Bobby and JG Radio. We have some repeat offenders here on the show, which is the Alzheimer's Association. We are speaking with Ginny Funk and Brooke Craig. I want to jump right into it, guys. So, what are some warning signs? I know you guys have 10 warning signs that you educate the public about. What are the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's?
Okay, so memory loss that disrupts daily life. Not memory loss like you and I have, forgetting a name, something. Yeah. Memory loss that you forget important dates, you forget recently learned information, and when it's gone, it's gone. Asking the same thing over and over, increasingly relying on others to do things that you used to be able to do yourself.
Sure.
So that's very significant. Again, not normal, little bit of memory loss, but forgetting really important things and things that
you should definitely
that
know.
You should know. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Some things like that.
What after that? What do you start to see?
So, and again, these aren't necessarily in order, but a lot of times you'll see where challenges in planning or solving problems. So your brain, you watch someone and they can't develop or follow a plan. So even walking into a kitchen and making a sandwich, that all requires a plan and steps and where do you get the food from. And you may start to watch someone who's pulling the wrong thing out of the fridge, or it takes so much longer to do things. You can watch someone who has an incredible difficult time concentrating, difficulty in completing familiar tasks at home. So things like trouble driving to a familiar location that you've driven to for a long time, and then someone disappears and we don't know where they are for 3 hours.
I remember last time you guys were here, the guest that you brought, he said the first time he really realized it when he was going to church that he went to every day, and then he's like, I have no idea how to get there.
He wound up
and that's when he was like, this is happening.
Absolutely.
So then after that, So
then kind of right mixed in with that is watching someone where there's confusion with time or place. This is not forgetting what day it is or what day of the week it is. This is losing track of dates, losing track of what season it is, and just losing the passage of time. You'll see someone they have trouble understanding if it's not happening immediately. So when you tell someone a week in advance we're going to the doctor, and then the day arrives and they have some big catastrophic reaction because they have no idea what you're talking about. So it's almost like they're living in the present time.
Sure.
So that's that. And confusion, again, that one has so much to do with people who get lost. They end up wandering and either getting lost by driving or lost by walking out the front door and not knowing where they're going or where they've been.
And then after that?
Okay. This one's less known, but actually vision becomes a difficult thing. Trouble with reading.
Depth perception?
They may look like they're reading, but they're not actually reading. They're just looking at the newspaper. Depth perception, determining color and contrast. All those things are so important if you think about all this related to driving.
Sure.
New problems with either words in speaking or maybe when you watch their writing. So they have trouble. They're having trouble following a discussion, a conversation. They'll stop right in the middle, or they ask the same thing over and over again. Decreased or poor judgment. This one is oftentimes one that it's so sad, but with poor judgment with money, with giving away large amounts of money and not knowing and being able to track what happened.
I was worried about Bobby, but he never gives away anything, so we're good. Okay.
Okay.
So we're good.
How about this? This is another one with decreased or poor judgment. When you see someone who's actually less paying attention to their grooming, to keeping clean, they're just not. They start to refuse to bathe. And that's a whole other segment that it just becomes really difficult.
Sure.
Then withdrawal. So they really are recognizing changes that happen. So if they just start to remove themselves.
They probably feel completely isolated.
Because people are reacting to them, like what's
crazy.
wrong with you, or they also will accuse others, so misplacing things and having them found in really weird places. That's another warning sign where they may lose things because they've put them somewhere, forgot where they put them, and then they start accusing others of stealing, and this just becomes more frequent over time.
Sure.
That can be really difficult. Changes in mood and personality. We're talking watching someone who gets confused, who gets suspicious, who was never like that before, depressed, fearful. We feel like fear is behind so many of the behaviors that happen. Watching someone get
it has
so
to be
anxious.
freaky to
Yes.
Yes. It sounds like a horror flick if I couldn't do any of those things. Or
losing the things you used to always be able to do, easily getting upset. That's another one where you have someone who gives this catastrophic reaction to something that you think, well, it wasn't a big deal. So here's the thing. None of these things are a normal part of aging. All of our brains go through what we call a typical aging of the brain, where you may have a little more increased forgetfulness of a name or a place. But again, this is severe. That's kind of when you think of dementia, it's significant.
Right.
It's having an effect on your daily life, and it's not a normal part of aging.
So what are the benefits
of everyone would get Alzheimer's, and that's just not the case.
Sure. What are the benefits of catching this early, though?
Okay, so in the early stages, people are, and that we have so many among us, people are still driving, working, taking care of families. It's early stage. So all of these things are, they're still living. More and more warning signs are starting to happen. But in the early stages, the person themselves can have discussions about the financial aspect of this disease. As of last year, it became the most expensive disease in America. Having a conversation about that. If you're in the early stages, you can get your power of attorney done, something that you cannot do as someone progresses through the disease.
So you have more control of the situation throughout.
Exactly, of yourself, and having conversations, care. No one wants to talk about what happens if you can't care for yourself, but that's exactly what happens with this disease. So there are so many things that can be done in early stages that you can't do in later. Absolutely. Also, early treatment. And also research, clinical trials. There is a shortage of human beings enrolled in clinical research trials. And a lot of times that's due to, if you have someone in the middle stages, you can't ask them, honey, would you like to participate?
They're not in the right mind to let you know.
Exactly, you have to make that decision for them. Whereas in the early stages, you could have someone say, absolutely, I want to be a part of the cure of this. And I want to, do whatever we can, or absolutely not. I'm not interested in that.
But you have a choice.
Yes.
For more information about this awesome organization taking care of 47 counties here in the state of Texas, contact them at 800-272-3900. Again, that's 800-272-3900 or alz.org.